Fourth time I've tried to shoot this video. Hello, it's Friday. I'm covered in grass because I just finished cutting my grandma's grass. It's a little breezy out there, so there's grass everywhere. Anyway, this week I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. My friend let me borrow this book, and it has all 7 of the Narnia books. So this is a beautiful copy of Chronicles of Narnia. I would like it a bit better if it was hardcover because through reading, it's getting a little beat up. So, C.S. Lewis wrote a fantastic story with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's just as magical as The Magician's Nephew, and it completely draws a story through. Where in The Magician's Nephew, you learn the whole birth of Narnia and everything, and you get to understand how the wardrobe came about. And then, once you're into The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you have so much going on in the cities. So, Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy are sent from the city to the country along with hundreds of other children. And they're picked up by this mean woman. She doesn't want to talk, nothing. She's just like, get your stuff, get in the carriage, be quiet. And then they're taken to this huge house. They're so bewildered because it's big. There's rooms everywhere, rooms upon rooms. And they're just told, stay quiet, stay out of the way, stay out of trouble, and don't bother the professor. So, okay. Those are pretty simple rules, but it's hard to stay out of the way when there's constantly tours being brought through the house. They're playing hide and seek one day and Lucy comes upon the wardrobe. And I'm sure all of you know the whole story because this is a classic book. Lots of people have read it. I love the character building. I love how it goes from originally Lucy goes into Narnia, nobody believes her. She's sweet and innocent and she's really upset by this. Peter and Susan think she's a nut job because of it. And Edmund, he's just a jerk. He's a rotten little prat. And I'm not a fan of Edmund, but I do like how his character develops. I just don't like him. It's mean how when Edmund goes to Narnia and then when he comes back, he completely denies that he's been there and says that he's playing a game with Lucy. So yeah, I don't like how he is at first. But I love the magic how the 4 of them are playing a game outside. And I think the ball breaks the window and they go inside to get it. And there happens to be a tour going through the house at that moment. And because of the magic of the wardrobe, everywhere they go, they keep hearing footsteps. They run up one way, they hear voices and footsteps. They run up the other way, they hear voices and footsteps. And then eventually they're drawn into the room where the wardrobe is. It's just a spare room and all that's in it is the wardrobe. So they figure, oh, they may as well hide in there because why would a tour group go into a simple room with the wardrobe? Nothing else is in here. But then when they get in the room, they hear footsteps and voices right outside the door. And then the door handle starts moving. So right away they're like, oh no, and boom, in the wardrobe they go. So that is where the adventure really begins. And I really like it. I like how Edmund gets kind of bribed by the Queen with delicious Turkish delight. I like how the animals are all talking. And yeah, without telling you the entire story over again, I can basically say that it's very well written, very magical, and the character development is wonderful. Because you have Lucy who stays true and innocent and just valiant all along. Then you have Edmund who starts off as this rotten little prat, and then he develops into something so much more. He develops to be brave because of everything that happens. It's not his fault, it's the magic. And the others are all forgiving. Then you have Susan, who she thinks Lucy's a little crazy at first, but then she comes around, she starts believing once they're in Narnia. And she's a very mother-like figure. I like that. And then you have Peter, who he just wants to make sense of everything. So at first, he does also think Lucy's crazy, and then he believes once they're all in Narnia. And he's really the leader of the group, the caretaker. It's like Susan and Peter play mom and dad to Lucy and Edmund. But that's just because they're the older siblings, like they feel like they have to take care of the younger ones. And I like that characters they meet when they're in Narnia, like the beavers and all the talking animals, are just so cool. I just like how the book takes 4 simple children and it allows them to become so much more. They're kings and queens. And you know what? Almost every little girl wishes she could be a princess or a queen. I don't care who you are. At one point in your life, you've probably wished that. I know I have. Because it'd be pretty freaking awesome. Okay, so I know this really doesn't make much sense. I need to get more sleep. I don't know how Jeffrey functions off little sleep and fantastic videos about books. Thumbs up to you because I can't do it. Clearly, my mental function's not firing on all cylinders. But regardless of that point, it's a good book, well written, the characters are wonderfully developed, and each of the books flow into each other. So yeah, now that I've probably completely bored everybody that watched this, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you next week.